all, and welcome to our bracket release shows for boys and girls soccer for the MIAA state tournaments. My name is Peyton Doyle, high school sports reporter with Mass Live. Today I'm in the wonderful Franklin TV studios with Franklin TV's Pete Royce and MIAA historian Mike Richard. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, nice to be here. Another set of games to unfold. It should be very exciting.
Yeah, and Tuesday we had the field hockey and volleyball tournaments and their brackets released, and today we have 5 divisions to look at for both boys and girls soccer. So big show here today, and we're going to start off with a brief message from MIAA Executive Director Bob Baldwin.
Here we go again. It's time for the state tournament, and we're very excited. I think the point of emphasis this year, more than anything, is enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. You deserve it, you've earned it, you've made it to this point, and the reality is only one team is going to end up being the state champion, but every team is going to experience, through their parents, through their community, through their school pride, a great experience over the next couple of weeks. Best of luck to all of you. Congratulations to everyone who has had everything to do with this, and enjoy the moment.
I'd just like to thank Dr. Baldwin and everyone over at the MIAA for setting up these tournaments. A lot goes into these brackets, and just starting right off with Division 5. And lots of teams, as always, with 40 teams, Division 5 boys soccer. And just right away, what stands out to you, Mike?
Well, it looks like it's wide open, to be honest with you. You know, a lot of the teams, there's quite a few teams that have never made it to a state final before. A few teams that you know, look interesting here. St. John Paul II, for example, out of Hyannis, undefeated at 13-0-4. Dearborn Academy, Dearborn STEM Academy, they were state finalists last year. They lost to Sutton in a shootout, 1-0. Now Sutton has moved to Division 4, so you know that's an opportunity for them. And of course, the #1 seed, Boston International, they lost last year in the semifinals to Dearborn. They were also a finalist in 2017. They lost to Bromfield for the state championship. So, you know, both Dearborn and Boston International have had state finals appearances and an experience. So, but then again, you know, you've got other teams and sporting programs here that have had good experience in the past and great athletic traditions.
It's the second year in a row for Boston International being the #1 seed. And just looking at the top 10 here, it's Boston International, there's 1 loss, 15-1-2, and Hopedale, #2, St. John Paul II, they were the number 16 seed last year, up to #3. Brighton is 4, Rockport 5, Keefe Tech is 6, Dearborn 7, New Mission 8, Pioneer Charter of Science first is 9, and Munson is 10. And of that group, outside that group, Pete, what's standing out to you so far?
Well, I go with Mike's team. It's wide open this year. If you look at it across boys and girls soccer, there's no undefeated, untied teams. Anybody who has a 0 loss has a few ties. Yeah. Nobody has had a clean slate. Then you look at the bottom of the brackets, teams at like 39 and 40th, 41st, some of them have records of like 12 and 5. So this is going to be a wide open tournament, both on the boys' side and the girls' side. And you look for people in the middle to maybe make some noise in this tournament.
And some teams like that, and Old Colony is the 33 seed, but they have 10 wins.
Yeah.
And Neshoba Valley Tech, they're 10-5-3. Even Hampton Charter School, they're 14-2-2, and they're the number 22 seed. So really chance for upsets all around because teams have winning experience. And one of those teams that's done some winning so far this season is Rockport. I believe we have them here with us. Rockport, are you here?
We are here.
And who do we have with us today?
My name is Wyatt Wilkinson.
I'm Timothy Patrick. Zachariah Buafi. I'm Flum Blanchard.
And you guys are the number 5 seed. Last year, I believe, just 5 wins. What's the difference between this year and last year?
We got a new coach this year, and we were one of the lucky teams this year in our league where we didn't lose a lot of guys, and so we're built around this very core group of a young team, but also a very talented team. And we've all been playing with each other for a long time, and most of us have been playing since we were freshmen or sophomores, so it's always great to have that core group and be able to build on that year after year.
And yeah, what has the new coach brought this year? What's been a major change in that sense?
So the 4 of us all met with the coach at the start of the year, and we kind of set our expectations early and made sure that we shared how we wanted to play for the year and how we wanted our program to run. And part of that was to make it, of course, to the state tournament and to get a very deep run in it.
And I know you guys had some losses kind of in the middle of the season, but you responded. You had 7 unbeaten to end the year. How did you respond? What was the conversations like in the middle of the year, early October for you guys?
Yeah, we really just decided to put our foot down and just make sure we're all putting in the hard work. It just really, our teamwork together, just when we come together, we're unstoppable. So we're just making sure we're putting in all that work.
And you'll play the winner of West Boylston and South Shore Charter. And before you find out who you play, what does practice look like? How do you prepare for that game?
I mean, every game, it's every practice, we treat it like it's a game, honestly. Every drill, everything is taken with 100% intensity. Everything is taken very seriously, especially once you get into this playoff area of the season. We had guys who are injured, guys who are coming back from injury, and so it's just really important that we get those group of guys back together, making sure that everyone's on the same foot and that we all have the right mindset going into the playoffs.
And what were some of the biggest challenges you guys faced this season?
Challenges faced, I think, honestly, really had to be injuries. Like, just many games we've, missed starters for nagging injuries, and some guys, not practicing days before games, which, isn't good, but just definitely injuries, because I think it's been tough to not have the same team play every single game, Like, I think we could really just, right now, work on getting guys healthy 100% and have the same exact team go into the tournament all throughout the tournament.
Got it. Well, hope you guys have some good health coming up, and we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us on the show today, and good luck in the tournament. Again, it's Rockport Boys Soccer, number 5 seed in Division 5 this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now looking at D4, and we mentioned Sutton no longer in Division 5. They've moved up, and they're also up there again in 4, and also another very crowded field. 49 teams we were talking about before the show that qualified for the Division 4 tournament. Mike, what's standing out to you to start?
Well, having spent a lot of my formative years, so to speak, out in Central Mass, seeing number 1 Sutton and number 2 Bromfield, you were talking about 2 of the premier soccer dynasties for many, many, many years. Bromfield has won 13 state titles in their time period, a state record. Tom Hill, the soccer guru of the state, just an incredible run. They won 8 straight state titles at one juncture. And, last made it to the state finals and won in 22 and 21, actually back to back. Sutton, on the other hand, were state champs last year. They defeated Dearborn Academy, and as we mentioned, in that shootout. And then in 2022, they lost to, who else? Bromfield. But they won 4 straight in their own right between 2011 and 2014. So Sutton, another tremendous program. Now take a look at Air Shirley, who has never made it to the finals before, 15-0-2. Number 6, Westport, a team that were state champs in 2023, 16-0-2. So you got 2 teams right there that are undefeated for the sake of a couple of ties. And then even Frontier Regional, they went to the state semifinals last year, losing to Linfield, and went to the finals in 2021. So, you've got some teams with some great experience there. But really, I think, you want to win a state championship, it's going to be going through most likely Sutton and Bromfield, unless somewhere along the way they're upset. And you know what? You got to play the games.
And someone has to give Westport and Air Shirley their first losses. And it's not going to be easy. And Pete, we always talk about, the chances for kind of the underdogs, the low seeds, and we have some of the lowest seeds you've ever seen in a tournament in this bracket. So, for you, what was it like to see 49 different schools qualify for just one division?
The grouping is just tremendous. 49 schools. You mentioned Mike, Sutton and Bromfield, the same record, 15-1-2. But you go to the bottom of the list, you pick out somebody. You mentioned Frontier, they're a 19 seed. How about Abington, a 7 seed, and they'll be playing the winner of Sturgis Charter West and Madison Park Voc. So that could be a matchup. Westport is a number 9 seed. They'll have Seekonk and Minutemen Regional, so Westport will be very familiar with Seekonk down there on the south coast. So it's going to be a wide open tournament, Division 4, and you're right, Mike, it starts with Sutton and Bromfield, 2 powerhouses.
Absolutely, yeah.
We should mention that they each have losses on the year. They're not unbeaten. They each
No.
have the 1 loss. And just looking at, I don't have to flip it around, it's all right here, just the top 10. It's Sutton 1, Bromfield 2, Hamilton Wenham, they're 14-2-2, they're number 3, Air Shirley 4, Rockland 5, Westport 6, Abington 7, Northbridge 8, Tingsboro 9, Frontier 10. And one thing that stands out in Division 4, clearly these teams they're all playing different kinds of competition. You'll have a Westport, they're undefeated, 16 wins, and they'll be below a Rockland team that's 9-5-4. So they're all getting different kinds of experience. And how do you think that will play out in the tournament? They're all facing different conferences. They're playing higher divisions. Some might be playing lower divisions. How do you think that breaks out once they face each other now?
Well, I think a lot of those teams, particularly that have the 1 loss or 2 losses, have gone up a division or 2 divisions. They don't shirk anybody, and they get themselves playoff ready. They face the iron when they can because they know that they're going to face, whatever they face in their own division is going to give them, put them to the test. So I think, a lot of these teams that are at the top are definitely playoff ready, and they get that way by the regular season, who they face during the regular year.
So that's Division 4. Now going to Division 3, a few less teams, but still fantastic teams in Division 3. Boys soccer here, of course, you have Dover Sherborne, they're reigning champs. Medfield's number 1, they're up there. They lost in the semis last year. Norwell, they were in the finals last year. They won in 23 and 21, I believe. Talk about those teams, but you can talk about other teams in this top group. Who are the teams to watch in Division 3?
You mentioned Medfield, and while they never, have won a state title on their own, they did go to the semifinals last year in losing to Dover Sherborne. Dover Sherborne, again, a fantastic team. They were state champs last year. They've won 3 state titles in 3 trips. And then again, Norwell, 18-0-1. 1 tie to their credit. They won a state title in 2001. They went back to back in 03 and in 2023, 2024 with losses, but at the same time, battle tested and definitely ready. Teams like Chicopee, which is a 5th-seeded team. There's always been great soccer in Chicopee out west, and you never know. Granted, they go way back. The last time they won a state title was back in 1983, which is probably before your time.
Yes, well,
way before. But so again, you look at the top 3 in particular: Medfield, Norwell, Dover, Sherborne, and they're going to be some tough, tough competition to begin with. But on the way there, they're going to have to face some difficult teams getting there, and they've had the experience in the past, but at the same time, anything can possibly happen, making your way through the quarterfinals, semifinals, and getting to the final round.
Yeah, it's a really great crop of Western Mass schools. As you mentioned, Chicopee, I believe they won 16 games last year. And Pope Francis, they're the number 1 seed last year. They're down to 15 this year, but they're going to have a home game, and they're playing Belchertown, so another Western Mass school. And Pete, Western Mass, Eastern Mass, Central, what are the top teams for you in Division 3 here?
Yeah, well, certainly Medfield, very familiar with them. In the Tri-Valley League, it seems to be excellent in just about any sport you can mention. But you look at some teams down in the pack. Winthrop, they have 4 losses. They're the number 35 seed. So that's just incredible. High School of Commerce, they're the 38th seed with 3 losses. And I know part of it is strength of schedule and who you're playing. And you're right, teams like to build strong teams to be playoff ready. But there's just some tremendous balance, across this division, Division 3 boys soccer. Situate, 9 wins, and so they could make some noise as the 17 seed. St. Mary's 9 wins as the 20th seed. So you look around and look for again some of those middle bracket teams to make some noise. And you talk about teams that there's no undefeated with total no losses and no ties, but you learn from those losses too, and sometimes those are the biggest ones to catapult you to a better position down the road.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, last year, Division One, Newton North, number 31 seed, and they won a state title. They beat St. John's 2-1.
Yeah.
So you know what? That number next to them doesn't really mean a whole lot. You got to play the game.
Yeah, particularly in this sport. And Newton North had 4 wins last year in the regular season. They had 5 in the playoffs. And our team in Weston, they're 4-8-5, but they're the number 25 seed. And the fewest, I believe that's the fewest wins of any team in this bracket. But obviously they're battle tested. They've had those losses. They know how to lose. They also know how to win. They're playing very tough competition. And Pete, as you mentioned, the lower seeds, you can only play who's in front of you. The 33, 34, 38, and 40 seed teams, they all have 11 wins.
I know.
And it's almost shocking to see a number that high, and they're seeded so low.
Sometimes those teams like to hang out in the weeds and all of a sudden peak at that right time and then make their run. So it should be tremendous.
Strong team, hot goalie, good defense, and a couple of lucky breaks, And I mean, 1-0 games, 2-1 games, penalty stroke, penalty kicks or shootouts, things like that. I mean, there's stranger things have happened in high school soccer.
Yeah, and with overtime, with penalties, it's almost a different game than the regular season. It's who can outlast the other if you can get there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now looking at Division II, some more Western Mass schools at the top here. You have Longmeadow, Northampton, but number 1, Oliver Ames. They've won the last 3 years. Mike, I mean, what kind of precedent does that have in D2, and how impressive has their run been?
Extremely impressive. Winning 3 state championships in any kind of sport is just phenomenal, and they've done it, against certainly no slouches. Last year they beat Hingham. The year before that it was Wakefield, and in 2022 it was Hopkinton. All very good athletic schools and very good programs. So and they've won 4 state titles overall. So I mean, Oliver Ames out there in Easton, they know how to win when it comes to soccer. This time of the year, they smell blood.
And one team I just want to talk about briefly is West Springfield. They lost to Oliver Ames just 1-0 last year. They're number 11 seed here. Western Mass soccer is fantastic soccer. Tons of great experience. And Pete, what's it going to be like for teams who they're not seeing Oliver Ames, they're not seeing Dartmouth or Marshfield? And how is it to have all these teams have meeting in just this one tournament from all different parts of the state?
Well, first of all, you don't read the press clippings. You just kind of bear down and have your tough practice. But I'm talking about West Springfield. You mentioned them. Unbelievably, they've had 9 ties on the season, and they won't have a tie in the tournament because there are no ties.
You can't do that anymore.
But how about that 9? It just shows a couple of those ties convert to wins. They move way up.
Sure.
That's just an interesting statistic there. But Oliver Ames in the Hockomock League, tremendous. Northampton, they're 13-0, again, 5 ties, so a lot of ties, and they're number 2 seed. King Philip Regional, a number 7 seed. They'll play the winner of Agawam Middleborough. And on we go. In Longmeadow, you mentioned, Mike, very strong out in Western Mass.
And someone I know is very familiar with all these programs is from Mass Live's Kenneth Minogue. And is Kenneth here with us right now?
Hey, great. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Now, let's just get right into Northampton and Longmeadow. We mentioned Northampton doesn't officially have a loss for these brackets, but I know you were at a game recently where that might actually not have been the case.
That was a fantastic match that I got to see over the weekend, or earlier this week actually, between Longmeadow and Northampton on Wednesday, when it went to overtime, down as a draw because of the way that the MIAA deems the results for the Western Mass tournament, and especially in the Western Mass finals, not to be an official result. So that is why we don't see that in the official record on the MIAA. Went to overtime after Northampton went up 3-1 already in the second half, led in part, and then they went, and then Longmeadow scored twice in the final few minutes to force overtime. And in overtime, and in penalty shootouts, Longmeadow came back and won the penalty shootouts to win the match to win the match in penalty shootouts, 4-4, my apologies, after Northampton had actually scored in the final few minutes to go up 4-3. It was so many goals back and forth. Even I'm misremembering it right now, but at this moment, so Northampton went up 4-3 after being tied in the about 80th minute or 70th minute, and went up 4-3 in the 75th minute. You thought that they were going to win. No, Longmeadow came back again and scored in the 80th minute to force overtime. So this is actually the second time that Longmeadow has done this. They had a 5-4 match against Ludlow that they won earlier this season. Always Longmeadow, Ludlow. You never know how it's going to go, and that was the case in that match. Led by Alex Henge on that team. Longmeadow and Northampton are the perennial top teams in Western Mass. I can't separate either of them apart, and that was very much the case in the Western Mass final. I'm very much excited to see if that can if that type of matchup can occur again in the semifinals in the state tournament. But it's a long road to get there for both these teams, and they're one of the teams that you mentioned before, West Springfield, is on that side of the bracket, and they could make some noise as well. It was a great mention earlier that they had so many ties earlier in this season, and they faced against all these teams in the regular season. At least twice they played against Longmeadow, and they played against Northampton. So this is a very familiar. These are very familiar opponents in this Division II bracket that I'm very excited to see how they do against some of the Eastern Mass and Central Mass competition.
And for not just Northampton and Longmeadow, but how important is that Western Mass tournament for all those teams competing in it to get the experience of tournament play before the state tournament begins?
I do think that there is a benefit to that mentality of being forced to have to turn those ties into wins. Having to go through a couple of overtime matches and having to go through the nerve-wracking penalty shootout. I think that those are opportunities that you just don't get. You can't practice. You can't mimic in training. You can only get it when you're there in the tournament. And to be able to put that together, to give these student athletes an opportunity like that, I think an opportunity to prepare themselves for those type of opportunities is key for them and can really help them in the future.
And what other teams should we be looking out for, not just Division II, but all across the divisions here from Western Mass?
I think in terms of teams that are among the title contenders in their division bracket, one of them was already mentioned before. I do believe Chicopee is proving itself as one of the top contenders, and they did that in the Western Mass tournament in Class B when they faced against Pope Francis, and they were able to defeat them, avenging their loss last year. They had a very young team last year. Most of them are back. They only graduated a couple of seniors, and they even brought in a very highly talented player from across town that was originally playing with many of their players locally from Chicopee Comp. They brought in Evan Tyrell, who is a fantastic defender, all Western Mass first team, and he really helped solidify this team that already was one of the most talented teams in Division III. Had gotten to the quarterfinals last year and fell in the quarterfinals last year and fell at that stage. But this year, I think that they do have the ability to push forward just because they have so many players returning, and they played against much stronger competition. The conference, the Western Mass area had a very large conference realignment at the beginning of the year, and one of the conferences that really got stronger was the Holly Conference, which Chicopee plays in. They didn't change their conference themselves, but because the conference itself got much stronger as a whole, their schedule just got better, and they were able to play against better competition and really hone themselves as a team that previously had not been really playing against some of the competition that they would be seeing in the state tournament.
Well, I can't wait to see how they perform in the tournament and all these other Western Mass schools. Kenny, really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
Now,
One quick thing I wanted to mention regarding Division Two. Don't overlook Duxbury. Number 4 Duxbury.
you cannot.
Duxbury has had a tremendous heritage of soccer success. They've won 8 overall state championships, and granted, the last one is back in 1999. But you've got kids that have played in that program for a long time, and I'm sure their dads and their uncles were part of that long run of success. So Duxbury is a team that don't overlook a team like Duxbury that has and a town that's had some tremendous athletic success in many sports.
yeah, it's all eventually going to trickle down, you'd hope.
Absolutely.
And now moving to Division One, our final boys soccer bracket at St. John's Prep number 1, Natick 2, Newton South 3, Needham 4, New Bedford 5. Just start with that group. What's standing out, Mike?
Well, St. John's Prep last year lost in the state semifinals to St. John's of Shrewsbury, but they were 2022 champs, defeating Needham. They've also, won previous state championships. Needham, a team that's been went to back-to-back state finals in 2022 and 23, have won their share of state titles as well. Another thing, I think division that's pretty bottlenecked as far as some great soccer talent. As we mentioned, the Newton North 31st seed is not necessarily in the top 10, so to speak, this year, but who knows what team may emerge to be this year's spoiler. We've got some great teams at the top, but that's kind of what I see so far as the the perennial strong teams there.
You mentioned St. John's. They were a finalist last year, and they're still around. They have a home team in the first round, number 12.
Yep.
In BC High. They have a new head coach, Mark Whitehouse. They're the 7th seed this year. Framingham's had a fantastic resurgence to the number 6 seed. And even Weymouth, they're always up there. They're number 8. So it's just fantastic, not just top 5, not top 10, but all around. And looking further down or back of the top 10, what are you seeing, Pete?
I'm looking at Lowell. 15 wins, 0 losses, and 3 ties. And for that accomplishment, they're the number 17 seed.
Not even a home game.
Yeah, so 15-0-3 for them. So just tremendous for Lowell to get that number 17 seed. It's wide open. Even the last team, Lawrence in the Lawrence area, 11-7, the number 42 seed. So again, our theme today, I guess, is just wide open in all these brackets. There's no real powerhouse. St. John's and Natick right up there, Newton South right up there as well. Needham at 12-3-3 will take the number 4 ranking. So who's going to be the upset specialist? We don't know, but it's going to be exciting. We know that.
And Needham, they've played a lot of these top teams. They've played Natick, they've played Prep, they've played Weymouth, Framingham, they played Longmeadow that we just talked about, and I believe they're here to talk to us right now.
Do we have Needham on the phone? Anybody from Needham? The Needham Rockets.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi guys. Could you identify yourselves for us, please?
I'm Avery Brodsky. I'm the senior captain. I'm Michael Zabinski. I'm also a senior captain. I'm Austin Williams, and I'm a junior captain.
Okay, 12-3-3, 4 shutout wins. If you add a 0-0 tie with Weymouth, that's 5 games in which you did not give up a score. What's your secret to having all of those shutouts in that 0-0 game?
I'd say our secret is our defense. Our defense is super strong. We're able to play multiple formations, and there's really just no breaks on our defense. Every player knows what they're doing. We have good communication skills, and they all fight for the ball no matter what.
And your defense came up big. Your last 5 games, you gave up 2 goals, and that was 2 shutouts and a 0-0 tie. I want to talk about the beginning of the season. You won your first 6, and then you're undefeated in your last 5. If you throw out the middle, you'd have one of the greatest teams of all time. But what happened in the middle? You had some bumps in the road, I guess.
Yeah, so one thing in our schedule that's not the same every year is we had like a really hard streak of, I think, 6 games where we were playing all the top 10 teams. We played Natick, South, Framingham, Prep, Wellesley, and I think that stretch of games really challenged us to find what we have against these best teams, not against just a league game, but the best of the best. We had some outcomes that were great, such as St. John's Prep game, Framingham, Newton South, but the bumps along the road, like tying Wellesley, and we lost to Weymouth, I guess that was kind of our setback. But I think that stretch prepared us super well for the postseason because as we go later in the season, we're only going to play the better teams, and we need to have the composure throughout all the playoff games in order to go as far as we can.
Let's hear from a couple of other fellas. What about that St. John's win, 2-1 against St. John's Prep? What do you remember from that game?
I mean, I just remember our team gets especially excited to play them. I remember last year is my first year playing high school, and they take the game very seriously because of past history within state chips where it's been, even though it's not really a rivalry, we're not really close to them. It's definitely a big game every year, and we take it really seriously. We really took practice seriously that week. We went in and we played probably our best game all season just because we were really motivated to play. So, yeah, we just love playing those guys.
And also 2 big wins against a perennial power, Walpole. What did you take away from those 2 wins against Walpole?
Yeah, against Walpole, we just really try to play our game. We want to really move around the ball, keep possession. We really want to attack and open up our offense. Those types of games are really about moving the ball side to side and really getting a lot of crosses in and really just getting a lot of shots off.
So you got the tournament in front of you. What's your expectations for how you'll do in this big tournament coming up?
I'd say our expectations is nothing short of going to the state final. I think every team we play is going to be strong and want to win super bad, but I think we play best against the better teams, and I think we're going to go really far.
Yeah, this has been our goal since the season even started, and we knew we were capable of it. And throughout the course of our season, and the big wins we've had have shown that we're capable of that, so we hope to fall nothing short of what we expect to do in this tournament.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Certainly you seem to be peaking at the right time, undefeated in your last 5. Good luck to the Needham Rockets, 12-3-3 in the tournament upcoming.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And before we get to girls soccer, anything you guys want to add to our boys soccer discussion? We had 5 brackets we went through there.
Yeah, let the games begin. Really, it's and see what happens. It's going to be exciting, very exciting.
And looking at Division 5 girls soccer, Granby #1, Hopedale #2, Hull 3. They were in the semifinals last year. Munson's #4. They won it in 2023. And you have Rockport jumping up there. Rough year last year. Bounce back. Mike, just start things off for girls.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Hull, they were state finalists last year. They ended up losing to Douglas, which has moved up to Division 4. So, it gives Hull the opportunity. Granby, the #1 seed out in Western Mass there, has had some state finals experience, not recently, but their last state final appearance was back in 2018. And even Hopedale, Hopedale won a state title. Granted, it was back in 2005. So there's been, some teams there that have had some past experience there. But, with former champion Douglas now moved up to Division 4, it's an open field.
And Pete, this is another scenario of you're going to have some teams with 3 wins in this bracket, and some teams who ranked below them will have 14 or 15 wins. How these teams face off? How do they match up when the win total is so different?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the tournament where, it's one big tournament no matter where you are in the state. And you look at a team, Renaissance, okay, they're the 40th team in Division 5, okay? They're 10-5-1, Renaissance. So, yeah, they're not going to look and say, oh, we're playing a top seed. What are their records ours? Let's just cower under that. No, they're ready to go. Granby at 12-3-4, just strong. You look at Hull, they'll play the winner of Smith Academy and Tech Boston Academy, so that should be a good matchup. And also Hopkins Academy, the #6 seed, could possibly make some noise, as well as Monson, the #4 seed. They'll get a first-round bye, play the winner of Franklin County Tech and Dearborn STEM Academy. So just some great matchups coming up in Division 5 girls soccer.
And just looking at and the difference, just Lennox, number 20, they have 5 wins. And the town directly next to them, Lee, they're number 24, and they have 14 wins on the year. It's just incredible to see something like that, just a difference like that. But you know, the number 1 team in this one is Granby. I believe Granby is here with us today.
Do we have the Granby girls with us here?
Yes.
Great. There you are. Could you please tell us who you all are?
I'm Caitlin Curran, and I'm a senior captain. I'm Meredith Bartos, and I'm a junior goalkeeper. I'm Mylinla Liberty, and I'm a senior captain.
Okay, so you have 2 senior captains with us, but you don't have a lot of seniors on your team. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's only us 2, and then another girl who tore ACL, so she unfortunately can't play this year.
Wow. So how have you done? I mean, so you two seniors kind of hold the fort, but you must have contributions from a lot of the underclassmen. Can you outline some of those contributions?
Yeah, we have a lot of juniors, so a lot of them are able to step up and set a good example for the younger girls too. We also have a lot of talent in like the younger grades, like some of the middle schoolers are very good, and we have a lot of talent in the 9th and 10th grades as well.
Wow, so you have a nice pipeline coming up there. And you're undefeated in your last 7 games. Talk us about all those shutouts that you spun there in your season.
Yeah, our coaches have been preparing us for the beginning of the season. We knew it was going to be tough. We knew our whole season was going to be tough. But at the end, we've definitely been able to come together as a team and start bonding a lot better throughout the season.
You've had some big wins. I don't know what got into all of you, but you exploded for a whole bunch of goals. Palmer, I think 8-0 and 6-0, and Smith Academy 9-0. Was everybody scoring in that game, including the Water Girls?
Yes. During like Palmer and like Smith Academy, I think it really highlights like all of the talent we have distributed on our team, because obviously there are like some people that stand out, but I think during games like that, it's nice to see like what each player can contribute.
Yeah, that's great. So now you're in the tournament and you got the number 1 seed. How do you feel about that? You got a target on your back?
Yeah, but we've been coached to know that we're not going in overconfident. We're going in humble. We know that there's a lot of teams that earn their spot in this tournament, and so we know they're going to be competitive games coming up.
And finally, what has been the school spirit at Granby High School leading you into the playoff competition?
I mean, our school is like very small, as you guys know, so we don't usually have like too much of like fan sections at our games almost. But at our Western Mass Finals game, we had a lot of support, and we're really grateful for that.
Well, that's great. We hope a lot of fans come out and see you make a lot of noise in the tournament. Thanks for joining us here today on our bracket analysis show.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Granby High Girls, Division 5. Good luck to them.
And looking at Division 4, we mentioned some teams who were formerly in 5, and they've moved up. Sutton, they've won 4 in a row between 4 and 5, and Douglas, they won 5 last year, and they're up another 1-2 seeds. Mike, just talk about those 2 teams right there.
Well, you know, Sutton, some of my favorite team, of course, the Sutton boys are number 1 in Division 4. The Sutton girls, the Sutton boys are the Sutton Sammies, and the Sutton girls are the Sutton Susies. Some of my favorite nicknames of all time. The Susies have won 4 straight championships from 21, 22, 23, 24. Of the top 10 teams here, 6 of those teams have been to state finals this decade alone. Okay, since 2021. So it's incredible the amount of success that's been here. Again, you take a look at Douglas. Douglas, which moved up from Division 5, they were Division 5 champs last year. They defeated Hull. Hamilton Wenham, a number 4 seed at 13-0-5. They were 2021 state champions. Cohasset won the 2022 state championship, they lost in the semis last year to Sutton. Northbridge down in division, the number 9 seed, were finalists in 2022. So you're looking through here. Yeah, South Hadley, the number 3 seed, went to the finals in 2023, losing to Sutton. They won a state title in 2019. So you've got some teams here that have had, tremendous amount of success. I mean, granted, Sutton and Douglas, just like the Sutton Bromfield boys, are going to be, knocking heads with one another on the way up there, but there are a number of teams that are, again, I use the term battle tested, and they have been when it comes to state championships and state finals in the past. So this is I think a huge bottleneck in Division 4.
And similar to the boys' side, there's 48 teams in Division 4 girls. And that's a lot to run through here right now, Pete, but just right away, what's sticking out?
What's sticking out for me, Peyton, is so many teams at 14-2, 12-3, 13-3. It goes on and on and on. So many teams have had such great seasons. Then you look at the 45th seed, 45th seed in this bracket is Lowell Catholic. They're 12-6-2, and they're the 45th seed. It just shows of just how strong, this division is, the Division 4 in girls soccer here in 2025. Yeah, you got Sutton, Douglas, South Hadley, and Hamilton, Wenham at the top 4, but a lot of people are waiting to make their mark, and you had a lot of those schools with some real strong records that are ready to bring it into the tournament play.
Yeah, another one, Advanced Math and Science Academy, they're not going to have a home game in the first round. They're 14-4-0. And let's run through the top 10 here. It's Sutton 1, Douglas 2, South Hadley 3, Hamilton Wenham 4, Cohasset 5, Littleton is 6, Hampshire Regional is 7, Lunenburg is 8, Northbridge 9, Southwick 10, and looking at the D3, group of fantastic teams here. Medfield 1, Nipmuc 2. They're fantastic teams right at the top. Mike, what should we expect from those two programs?
Again, we're looking at a number of teams, in those top slots that have had state finals experience. The number 2 Nipmuc team, aside from one tie, 17-0-1, seeded number 2. They were state champs last year, and who do they knock off? Medfield, our number 1 seed, 1-0. Medfield losing in the state finals. They're former state titleists back in 2010 and 2012. Norwell, the number 3 seed, were state champs in 2023. And they beat Hanover, who happens to be our number 5 seed. Hanover, went to the state finals in 2023. They won a state title in 2022. So, again, same kind of a trickle-down thing here in Division 3. Linfield, they lost in the semis last year to Hamilton and Wenham in Division 4. They've moved up to Division 3 this year, but they were former state titleists back-to-back in 2003 and 2004. Pope Francis, while they've not won a state title as Pope Francis, back in the day when they were Springfield Cathedral, they won several, back during that time period. So, there are a lot of teams in the top echelon of Division 3 right now that, again, like Division 4, have had past state championship experience very recently.
And that number 2 team, Nipmuc, I believe is here with us now. Is that correct, Nipmuc?
Yes, hello.
And who do we have here?
I'm Ella Vanas, I'm a senior captain.
I'm Emma Watts, I'm a senior captain.
And I'm Anya Montana, also a senior captain.
And just to start, you won the title last year. What was that experience like? How'd that feel?
That was an amazing feeling, only because we went into that season not really knowing how we were gonna do, and then once we made it to Final Four, we were just so excited, and then it was kind of an unreal experience actually making it to finals, and then that 1-0 win, such a scary game because it's not very high scoring. It was just an amazing feeling, getting that goal and experiencing that with our team after all the hard work we put in through the season.
And this year, no losses heading into the tournament. How does it feel to have 17 wins? Also, what were some of the bigger tests you had this season?
I think this year we had our hardest schedule yet because of winning the state title last year. But I think that gaining a lot of confidence going into the playoffs because of our undefeated season. But yeah.
And Sutton was one of those teams you played, is that right?
Yes.
And how'd that game work out for you guys? How'd that look?
It's always a big rivalry between us. So we knew what we had to do. We know they're strong players. And we just knew that we had to go in playing our game, making our connections like we usually do. And
with the state tournament, you'll see some teams early on that you probably haven't seen maybe ever in your program. How do you prepare for playing those teams that you might not necessarily have film on, they're not in your conference, might not even be from your part of the state?
Want me to do it?
Yeah. Without like seeing film or anything like that, we kind of, our goal like starting off the game is just to, like play how we play, and then we adapt to like how they play after we figure out like their formation and stuff. So we kind of just go into these unfamiliar teams with like knowing that we will play our game, and that should be good enough for us.
Very well. Best of luck in the state tournament, and thanks for taking the time here today.
Thank you for having us.
And before we go to Division II, and Pete, still 3 and fantastic teams here, what's standing out for you?
Well, Nipmuc certainly would be a good, likely choice to get towards the end of the bracket and get into that final game. I still look at look at the 41st team is Montechusett Regional Voc Tech. They're 12-5-0. And so that's the 41st team. And, just tremendous. Chicopee right above them at 10-4-4. So it's just a great bracket. Nipmuc has one of the best records of all boys and all girls soccer. No matter what the division, with that only one tie against their thing. You get used to winning at that.
Well, you do, and it's amazing because, to have a state championship like that, you've got a target on your back all season long. Yeah. Every single team circles that game because, you beat that team. I don't care where you are in the standings. That makes your season. Yeah. And, to go through the entire season of 18 games and just have one tie, one little blemish there, says a lot for, the durability and, the winnability of that program and how they just put their mindset to winning every game.
And looking at Division II, this is not an unblemished group of teams. I believe almost everyone has at least 2 losses, including the top 10 schools, top 8 schools. They have multiple losses. What does that do for your confidence going into the season? If you've learned how to lose, how does that help going forward, and who are some of the teams we should watch out for?
Well, first of all, I think what that means is that you are playing strong teams over the course of the season, and I think that's the case. A lot of times Division I and II teams in particular will go out and try to find the best competition during the course of the season. You have to play within your league, obviously, but then you go out and find the best teams you can possibly play to get yourself playoff ready. You look at Masconomet, last year's state champions, and they beat Duxbury for the final. Duxbury this year is our number 1 seed. They're a 3-time state champ themselves. So, again, Duxbury has had a great soccer program in the past. Mansfield, number 3 seed, they were state finalists in 2023, losing to Notre Dame of Hingham. Now, Notre Dame of Hingham, they're seeded number 12, but again, they were state champs only 2 years ago, and, anything could happen with them there. The number 5 seed, Hingham, has been a state champ. They were last state champs back in 2022, so they've got the playoff experience as well. And then other teams, Long Meadow's the number 2 seed. They've never been to a state final, but take a look down the line. Of sports at Long Meadow, from lacrosse to football to whatever they've had, they always come to play out there in the Western Mass part of the state. So, you're going to have all you can handle with a team like that from Long Meadow. So, again, Division II looks like it's got some really strong teams there. And I look at East Long Meadow is out there as well, another strong team there in Division II.
If you look at the North Shore, Newburyport at number 9, 14-1-3. Marblehead up in that North Shore again, 12-1-5. So they've had they've had some big games. You go further down the list. Number 19 seed is Somerset Berkeley. All they've done is won 15 out of 18 games.
Yeah.
2 losses and 1 tie. And maybe the strength of schedule may not be as strong as Duxbury or Longmeadow, but still, those are 15 confidence builders that they take to the tournament.
And they've got a fabulous field hockey team on top of it. So there's some good athletes out there.
Yeah.
And just one team I want to point out is Milton. They're number 6. They're 5, 6, and 7. So you might see the record and think, oh, this isn't the best team in the tournament. But they play in the Bay State Conference. They play 8 Division I teams, and those are all top 10 Division I teams for the most part. So you know they had the losses, they had the ties, but they played fantastic competition. Again, you mentioned NDA Hingham. They played and they beat Natick this year, and Natick is in the top 5 in Division I, and that's an out-of-conference game. So these are Division II teams who are not afraid to play above Division II, and it's going to give them a ton of great experience going forward. And Division I, this is the best crop. They're fantastic teams all around. Number 1, Needham. Number 2, Bishop Feion. Wellesley, they won it last year. They're number 3. Natick is 4. Braintree 5. It's top group. Just outside that top group, Mike, for you, who are really the top teams in Division I?
Well, give me 3 coins, and if I had a 4-sided coin, it's so hard to tell. I mean, obviously, until somebody knocks off Wellesley, the former state champs, then I guess they have the bragging rights. But Bishop Feion, 15-0-1 this year as your number 2 seed, and so they lost back-to-back state finals in 2024, 2023, but they were there, both years. So I would say that, the girls from Feion are probably hungry right about now. Natick, on the other hand, they were state champs in both 2023 and 2021. So they've had, field hockey success and experience there. And the number 1 seed, Needham, I mean, they've, been to state championships most recently in 2015. Again, there's some very strong teams with very, very good records, but I guess it's hard to say until somebody knocks off Wellesley. They probably would be maybe the favorite going in here, but then again, there's some very good teams underneath there to go after them.
And even right below them, Braintree, they're number 5, but they're the 4th high seed team in their own conference in the Bay State. I've talked to some coaches, and they kind of think they're like a dark horse candidate, but they're still the number 5 seed. It's hard to describe them as a dark horse, but they've played some fantastic teams. They've had to play Needham twice, and Needham had number 1. They lost to Bishop Feion last year in the quarters, but now it's have their title to lose almost. You mentioned someone has to knock off Wellesley, but they're on opposite sides of the bracket. Needham is number 1. They went 15-2-1, and for you, Pete, and we have some teams with 15 wins. We have some teams with Algonquin has 2 wins, and they're in this state tournament. And what's standing out for you just all across this bracket?
Yeah, some real powerhouses at the top. The Feion obviously strong with only 1 tie against their record. Hopkinton 13-3-2 in the middle of the pack. That stands out at number 14. And you look at the very last seed, the 39th seed in this Division I tournament is Medford, and all they are is 13-4-1. And so great opportunity for teams like that to really come out of the weeds and really do a lot of good things in the upcoming tournament. Bridgewater Raynham, 28th seed, 13-2-3. Again, some real good, strong teams towards the end on the bottom end of the bracket, and they're looking to really advance.
Yeah, number 7 Winchester. I mean, they've made 9 state finals appearances and won 7. So I mean, they're one of the all-time great soccer programs. Granted, their last one was back in 2018, but still they're a program that could be reckoned with here.
And just one other team, Brookline. They're 6, 7, and 5, but they have the experience. They lost in the semifinals last year to Wellesley in overtime. It was a penalty kick in overtime that lost them the game. So they're the 13th seed, but they have plenty of experience again. They're playing in this Bay State Conference with all these top teams. And it's one team without any losses this year, Bishop Fian. I believe they're here with us right now.
Hi, is Bishop Fian on the call with us today?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like you're getting ready to go off to practice. Is that true, or are you going to a movie?
No, we just came back from practice.
Okay. Who do we have in that vehicle with you?
I'm Lainey. I'm a senior captain. I'm Ellie. I'm also a senior captain.
Okay. What a year you're having. No losses, one tie. We'll talk about the tie later. You won your first 12 games, and you won your last 3. In the middle, you had one tie against Cardinal Spellman. What happened?
I think there was a lot of maybe some miscommunications on the field within the team that just led to a few mistakes, and we came back from it.
Yeah, you
the
did.
Mental fight after, but I think it was definitely just like a mental roadblock that game for us.
You had some big wins. You played in a tough conference. What are some of the key wins that you can remember on the season?
I think Wellesley was a really big win for us. That was a big game that everyone was excited for. And we had St. Agnes come from Pennsylvania, and they were a really strong team. So we had a very difficult schedule this year, and it put us up against a lot of very challenging teams and players. It was a really good test of us and where we are right now. Yeah, we also played Masco, which they beat us last year, so being able to beat them this year was huge for us as well.
Shut out 2-0. Yeah. Of your victories, 8 of them have been shutouts. How much of that is good goalkeeping, and how much of that is good overall team play?
I would say it's really like a mix of both. We have 2 fantastic keepers that split time, and I honestly think our center back is super strong. Addie Hansberry, she holds down the fort back there on the defensive line, but we have 2 6s in front of her, super strong. Our whole back line is really tremendous, and honestly, just as a whole, I feel like we really defend as a unit. So, yeah.
You had a big win over King Philip. You exploded for 7 goals. What was in the water that day for you guys?
I think that also was very much we went into it with the mentality that we lost them last year, and we went into the game thinking that we had to prove it to ourselves and prove it to the program. Yeah. So everyone kind of went into it like very hyped up, and there's just a lot of really good energy that day.
Yeah. Any special ways you celebrate your big victories? Do you do anything as a team, bonding and things like that?
We do a lot of team dinners. I'd say this year we're a very close-knit team, and you can see that a lot by the way that we play. We really focus on spending a lot of time together outside of practice, whether it's just going to food or going and doing fun team building activities. But we try to keep it like in soccer and then out of soccer, a bunch of team stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Any upcoming team dinners? Because we have 3 reporters who would like to get a free meal.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some soon.
All right. So are you folks ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of strong teams in this, so we're definitely going into it humble and knowing that there are a lot of good teams that earn their spot here in the tournament. And yeah, we're ready to go though.
Okay, well, good luck to the Bishop Fian Shamrocks. 15-0-1, number 2 seed. Have a good run at it.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks a lot, girls. That's quite a little group there, and they're ready to go. It sounds like they learned from the tie. That's all they have is a blemish, 1 tie against, the team was Cardinal Spellman, so that was about it.
Well, the 2 Catholic, maybe one team prayed harder than the other.
Yeah, there you go.
And all the teams we've talked to, they're excited for this tournament. It's just a couple of days away. We just went through 10 different brackets here between 2 sports. Anything we missed? Anything you guys want to add on here before we close things up?
You know, sometimes what gets lost in the shuffle, I think, is that these are student athletes.
Yeah.
You know, they're students first. These are kids that, spend their days studying AP physics or, calculus or, they're working all day long in the classroom, and then they go out on the playing field. And, it takes intelligence to play some of these games. God, field hockey alone. I mean, explain that game to somebody that's never watched it before. So I really think a lot of credit has to go to these athletes that are successful because, you know, they're bringing, you know, they're spending 6 hours, 6.5 hours a day in the classroom, and then it's coming out to the field and success there. You know, I spent 35 years in education as a teacher, a guidance counselor, so, you know, my hats are off to all athletes, but, you know, student athletes really are to be commended for, you know, for what they do in the classroom and how that translates into the field.
And some of them will be going on to the classroom next year, and this tournament provides an opportunity for some of the college coaches to come and capture some of those special players. What can they bring to their play at the next level? Yep. We've seen a lot of people go up and play in Division I in soccer. It's such a growing sport, and the foundation is laid. Not just in this high school. One of those players mentioned we have a great feeder system, middle school, setting it up, and so it's really tremendous. So we wish them a lot of luck. Should be a great tournament.
Yeah, and with the tournament, with some of these games pretty far apart, you know, lots of time to do, you know, homework on the 3-hour bus ride across the state.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a great chance to also just kind of share the different soccer cultures of the state, the different parts, mixing and matching. You're seeing different fans, that different people you probably never see ever before, and maybe not again, but this is the one chance you can, where it all kind of comes together. And it's a wonderful tournament. So again, this was our show for boys and girls soccer. 5 brackets for each, quite the show. We had field hockey and volleyball on Tuesday. Tomorrow, 8 brackets for football. I will not be here, but my coworker Gage Nutter will be there. And I'm just very thankful to be able to do this with you two here today. Thankful for Chris Flynn back there just running this whole thing. We had talked to lots of students, lots of people that went to setting that up, coaches, athletic directors. Just a great opportunity to talk about these teams, these schools, and for the tournaments to start just a couple of days from now. Fans, parents, teachers, anyone, siblings can go to MIAA.net and then go to GoFan from there. So you get your tickets for all these games. Make sure to get out there, see, you know, everyone participate in these wonderful tournaments. And for now, just enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you.